Good morning. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. All right, so just want to continue to do some freestyle work. New forms, new colors, big sale coming this weekend. For those of you guys who have an opportunity to take advantage of it, there's going to be some mega deals, especially in electric file. For all you guys who are looking to get an electric file, this is definitely the weekend to get it. All right. Let's just get right into it so that you guys not only are entertained, but educated as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and prepare this. Since I'm going to be sculpting a little bit longer length, I'm just going to clip just a little bit of the edges off. And then that's going to leave me with just enough of a free edge. I'm going to be able to build out something decent. I'm going to take my sanding band. I'm going to run my E-file at 3,000 RPMs. So for those of you guys who want to see, this is the dial for speed. I'm going to go ahead and set that to 3,000. Boom. And then I'm just going to turn that on. And then what we're going to end up doing is we're just going to gently remove shine around the perimeter from cuticle to free edge. Boom. And as soon as we're done lightly feathering the shine off, what I'm going to do is take some swipe. And then we're just going to clean the surface. You could choose to use a lint-free wipe as well, just to kind of scrub the surface and get all the oils and contaminants off of the nail plate before you go into protein bond application. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of set up a background first. We're going to be using the same colors that we're launching this weekend. And that way it's, I've been doing fades and nails like this, right? So been getting a lot of like really, really cool designs, extra length. But if you're just, again, wanting to learn how to use colors to create background, I'm going to be using Wizard Knickers, which is the silver color, and Adult Daycare, which is the burnt orange color, to kind of create background. This is going to set you up for success. So what we can do is we'll go ahead and continue with the long form, and I'll place this again dead center. And then for those of you guys that are struggling, open up the back and then the center tab, right, just the center one. You can use this, right? You can see how nice, again, if you're creating nice square nails, if you decide that you just wanted to create really nice depth down the barrel, you don't physically have to pinch that. You could just kind of keep it like this, and that you're going to see that you could create a really nice pipe. This is nice because it's wedged out on the edges right here for wider fingers. But this is going to be great if I just want to come in, and again, I'm just rotate. You can see the wings. I'm using the wings just to rotate it back, and then I'm going to secure it to the side. And as soon as I secure it to the side, I'll be able to pinch from the bottom. And this is going to really maintain like a really good, on plastic. Let me just get this off. So you can see, even if I have this on, I can still come in and get this on really, really nice, but you can see from the side, so the forms don't stick to the rubber really well, but you can see how nice and straight I'm going to be able to get from that edge all the way out. Boom. I'm going to be able to get that platform really nice and straight. Hold on. Let me just tie this to the back so that it doesn't slip. All right. Boom. To make sure that we secured that. All right, so if we're going to be building a free edge, especially something that is a little bit more square, what I would love for you to do is just kind of go ahead and build something flush to the edge. We'll go ahead and we'll use Adult Daycare. I'm going to need a little bit of monomer. So if you hold the bottle up to the ferrule, you can see that I'm going to be able to dispense the liquid inside my dish without spilling down the side of my bottle. All right, so let's just go ahead and try to create something as square as we possibly can. Hold on, let me just make sure this on this rubber. Perfect. All right, boom. Now, what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and get something massive, and then I'll just go ahead and kind of take out the excess liquid. If I go ahead and set this to the front end of the form, I'm going to wipe my brush. I'm just going to be real gentle with the body of the brush, but all the excess here, I'm going to use this and walk it from the top of the bead all the way to the corner just to try to make this as even as I can. I still have a lot of excess here on the side. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use the body of the brush, and I'm going to walk it all the way to the top. I'm going to try to get this as even to the side as I possibly can, right? I'm trying to make this as dead square, right, as I possibly can, because we're going to kind of taper the free edge as we build this out. You can see how I can kind of create the length of desire. This is a monster tip. And then once we actually have it built out to the length of desire, you can see from the side walls that my edges, again, are built all the way out from here, from the very, very edge, all the way down. I try to keep them as straight as I possibly can. I don't want them tilting at all. The glitter powder is really going to hold its form. I'm going to kind of create a gentle fade. So I'll take just a hair more. And then what I want to be able to do is right between the natural nail and the free edge, I'm just going to use a real slight amount, then kind of use that to fade it into the body, okay? I don't want to create anything crazy because I'm going to be using some other powders to create a nice effect through the tip. I'm just reinforcing this area. And then again, if I decide that I want to use the tip of my brush, I could just lightly pull from here into the body, and it's going to kind of create a real gentle fade, kind of a natural ombre up into the natural nail. Okay, so what you can do a lot of times, as soon as I'm done building a free edge, what I would do is, especially if I'm working with something, I'm trying to build a square and I need more C-curve, I would wait till this dried. And then if I'm working on trying to create C-curve, then what I would do is I'd wait till it sets. I would pre-pinch the tip so that we can get way more of a dynamic curve all the way through the whole entire tip. But since I'm working actually on this plastic hand and we're doing this live, I want to make sure that I'm not wasting your time with just waiting, with the waiting game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this set, and then I'm going to take some speed white. Okay, that's my background that I'm going to create. And well, we're going to use a separate brush. Okay, and I'm going to use this as a way to actually build a really nice background. So I'm going to take speed white, and then just going to set this down here, going to let that settle, and I'm just going to start working really nice beads around the edges. As you can see, allowing it to settle. And then what I'll do is I'll start to use the inside of my brush. Since, again, I'm going to be working with speed white, I just kind of want to give it a chance to settle so that when I start to use the inside of my brush and start to push the petal out to create a little bit of depth, I'm not forcing it basically into a blob. I want to try to keep it as nice and thin on the edges as I possibly can. And then use the tip of the brush again. I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna set this down, And then while it's wet, I'm going to kind of drag it from the surface just around the edge, keeping a lot of product on the inside. I'm going to clean my brush. And then from the inside, what I want to be able to do is just kind of start working it out to the inside of that first petal, and then start pushing a little bit of that excess out. I'm just trying to create a nice background. Don't want to overwhelm this, and we want to try to keep this as thin as we possibly can because I still have to cap it with clear. We're just doing a little bit of freestyle work here. Okay, so kind of build out that perimeter. Notice I'm trying to keep the inside as thin as we can. Not really concerned about the outside because we're going to continue building until we get something nice. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get another bead. I'm going to set that to the inside. We're going to allow that to self-level. Normally what I would do if I'm working with 3D, I like to actually just to speed things up by putting a few drops of acetone into a separate dish filled with liquid, and that way I can get the monomer to set like instantaneous. With this, I'm just kind of allowing this to settle, and then I'm just drying out my brush so that I have an opportunity just to kind of walk it around. You can see I'm just kind of pushing everything out from the inside as flat as I possibly can. You can see that from the side profile how thin everything is. And then I have enough space on the inside again. I'm just going to take my brush, just dab off a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and set this to the center. And then I'll just wipe that tip of my brush. And then, again, I'll poke this from the inside. And then just start to work a little bit of that bead out towards a little bit of that hollow space. Got plenty of room to work with. Create this really nice kind of little rosebud. Boom. Right, so you can see how we've built it into that edge. Now I have a ton of room down the side. If I choose to use, again, a nice amount, and I just kind of feather the edges, right, and just kind of twist up and around. You know, as everything starts to dry, I just use the edge of my brush just to get a little bit of definition. And then as it starts to set, I can use, again, the wedge of the brush to start putting a little bit of pressure on the insides just to make it look like ribbon. Just folding it over each side, trying to keep the design on the camera so that you guys can see. That way we're just kind of folding it up. You can make it as defined as you want, and then I'll add a couple of, just small beads. And again, I'm just doing random things, nothing totally crazy, but you can see it's like once I set that down and then I just use the tip of my brush, I can actually just kind of pull this out and just notch the back end to create this, whether it's a leaf or a bud on one side. All I'm trying to do is lay down really thin beads. It doesn't matter what you're going to be working with. If you're doing any type of three-dimensional work, you have to be very light as you're stretching this out. You can see I'm just using the very, very tip of the brush just to kind of stretch this into place. All right, boom. If I wanted to hide any petals around the outside, this is starting to set, so I just want to make sure that I'm getting enough curve. You can see I can actually start to pinch this, one of the things I'll do is just to double check it. You could run a spatula along the edge, so, or just the very bottom of this, right, to kind of separate the form from the tip. Hopefully I don't tear this, but you can see once we actually have that built out, as I'm coming through, and I really want to focus on trying to get this as deep as I possibly can and as thin as I possibly can. One of the things I can do is, you can see I've kind of made the free edge as narrow as possible, which is great, because you're going to be overlaying the whole entire surface. I can kind of pinch that edge in, and I've kind of narrowed out my edges, which is nice, but it gives me a ton of room to come over the top. And then when I overlay it, the clear is going to kind of be filling in that space on the side right there. It's not going to make it too bulky. So I'm really going to kind of taper in those edges to make it look super, super, super sick. All right, so again, just off of taking small beads, don't try to overwhelm the whole entire design. If I decided that I wanted to set down maybe a petal here, I'm gonna allow this to settle. I'm not going to just start attacking it right away. One of the things you can do to kind of speed up some of the powder or the liquid, is by adding a few drops of acetone to a separate monomer, a separate dish of monomer, and a few drops of acetone. And what that's going to do is give you a mix that's really going to speed. You can see I kind of created a clamshell here, right? Just hiding that little leaf behind. And then what we can do, I've always found, like, if you can't pick up the right amount, what you can do is you could set this like kind of on your fingernail, and then use the tip of the brush, right, as you can see, to boom, I'll just separate a small dot, and then I'll use that dot right here, the inside of that clamshell, right? You can see just adding small effects through the surface as I'm chasing this down. And then, again, maybe just one, right, just to add a highlight to the corner. Once the bead starts to self-level, then what I can do is I could use the tip of my brush just to kind of pull down, and then get a wedge on the brush, and then pull through the center, and then you can see how you could kind of create a really nice leaf as well. If you decided that you wanted to put some dimension into it, you could just kind of push out the sides. Boom. Okay, so something simple, nothing crazy. Now, if you decided that you wanted to highlight the edges with some confetti or different glitters, or maybe some mylar, I mean, dude, it's endless, right? Let's get a little bit of confetti. I'll just put some right here on the surface. I'm going to use a little bit of clear at this point, and I'll make sure that, again, I'm going to pick up small amounts of clear. I'll just kind of lay it around, and then what we can do is try to work in just around the empty spots, right? Boom, just laying some confetti around the edges. We have room, right? So it's not like when you cap it, you're not going to be filing off the confetti just because you have space. You can see that when I pinched it in, there is plenty of space all the way around the edges. You just go ahead and lay down some of this on the front end, and maybe just a couple other spots. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just laying it down, and I'm going to trust my overlay really to kind of fill in the space that I need, right? Okay, so just kind of randomly through, boom, like that, okay? And then now let's go for the overlay, right? So we have everything built out. You can see how thin everything is. It's the perfect background, right, all the way through. For those of you guys that are great hand painters, you can come in, you can kind of just, paint some detail around the edges. It's been a long time since I've done a lot of detail work like that, but it's all good. So my recommendation again is when you're overlaying, start from the cuticle and work all the way to the tip. I'm going to submerge my brush. I'm going to get a really nice, healthy pearl of speed clear. I'm going to wait a couple of seconds. And then what I want to be able to do is kind of hold it, release, and then use the tip of my brush just to kind of nicely guide it around the perimeter of the nail while the bead starts running down around the edges. I have some glitter right there. So as soon as it starts getting past the stress area, it kind of stops, and then I'm just going to start lightly using the tip of the brush just to kind of guide it down through. I don't want to be super aggressive because I want to really kind of create a beautiful upper arch. And what you've noticed is that everything kind of levels this way, and this way. And then at the side profile, you can start to see that I'm really kind of creating a really great setup for my upper arch. I need to make sure that I blend those sides in, okay? And then, it's really trying to reach those high points, but you can see that the powder is really clear. So at this point, I'm getting another really big bead. I'm going to set this down in between. I'm going to kind of brush it forward. And then again, use the self-leveling aspect. You can see I'm actually kind of pulling down into the sides. And remember how thin, when I pinched it, how thin the sides were, but you can start to see how it starts to fill in. That makes a huge difference so that when you're filing it into shape, you don't end up building this monstrosity. Now at this point, I could just kind of start really kind of brushing it over just to make sure that I've got great structure. I still need more through that. I really do need more here. It's since I'm building this long nail, it's important that I build it with a structure so that when I do file it, I'm not, I don't have this kind of oblong shape. I do have something that's going to be able to file into good form. I'm going to continue working all the way down, and if I need to continuously build through this upper arch area, I will. And then finally, what I want to be able to do is take a bead, and then I'll just set this down and then kind of brush it over. And then for here, this final bead is really just going to set in place. My shaping is really going to be important. You can see I'm actually kind of brushing back to brush some of the volume back into the body so that I have great form. For those of you guys that are into building really long nails, it's going to be a lot easier for you if you start from the cuticle area and then build all the way down. Okay, so that is ready to rock and roll. Got, again, the tip is, it's still flexible enough where I'm trying to hold it into place, but I'm going to really trust my hand filing and my electric filing skills. So that I'm able to justify the length that I actually just built. I need some right there. I can tell from the side profile. You can start to see how the arch, it was kind of flat right through that area. Boom. Don't be afraid, again, to, if you're going to go long, don't be afraid to make sure that you build up enough body and support through the middle. But as this starts to set, then it's going to set us up for some really, really good hand filing. But you can already see the clarity, which is nice. Once I file it and put it into shape, it's going to be awesome. Let's see. I have a couple questions here. Are those new nail forms? Yes, they are. Slick pour. How big is the jar? They are 1/2 ounce and 1 ounce sizes. I'm a nail tech. So am I. Are these forms? I can't find the website. They're launching this weekend. You ship to Denmark? No, we don't. There are a few distributors. We have a distributor in Sweden who ships all over the Scandinavia area. If they don't have it, you could always go through Young Nails UK. They are well equipped with everything, and again, if you guys don't have it, then if they don't have it, then we can find somebody in the area that does. There are just certain territories that we can't get to. For those of you guys that are here in the States, you guys can either get it through an authorized distributor or you get it online. I'm going to clean my brush. One of the things I want to be able to do is, just a heads up too, these empty jars with the gold caps, these are going to be available in a 10-pack. Not these, right? Just the empty jars will be available in a 10-pack this weekend. That's also a new product that is coming out. Really excited about that. They were just super popular over our last sale, and we just wanted to make sure that we had them ready for you guys for this weekend. This is starting to set. Just kind of making sure that everything is here, all bent in and perfectly in shape. All right, so nail this long again. This is going to require some decent filing. I'm really going to try to focus on just trying to keep my hand file straight to the sides, almost connected to the whole entire side. Right, and I'm going to taper this. I'm going to taper this tip. It's still quite slightly wet on the surface, which is nice. It gives me an opportunity to just do some slight refinement. You can see the lower arch is all the way down at the bottom. So what I want to be able to do is start from that point and work myself up the best I can. I don't want to start from here and then work myself up. I want to kind of start from that point and then work myself all the way up to the top. Longer nails take longer work because of the amount of refinement that has to be done. I mean, you're filing a lot, right? So I wish it was as easy as 1, 2, 3, but setting this up for success requires some detail, especially with length, because you have so much more product. Okay, so here as well, what I want to be able to do is I need to set up my electric file with the right bit. I'm going to have to bring the bit out a little bit farther because of the upper arch. Normally I would always work with my bits like somewhere within that region, but I'm going to bring it out a little bit farther. I'm going to run my file around 12,000 RPMs. I'm really going to be focusing on this back area here. I need to take down some of that thickness, right? And then here on the front, just to kind of bring that into play so that you can really start to see, right? So you can really start to see the kind of the shape. And then once I kind of take down that thickness, then I can really start to work around the perimeter, right, to take down the cuticle area, and then all the way through, right, all the way through the body. And I'll do the same thing here, right? You can see all that thickness on that side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work all the way through the body. So once I have a majority of the bulk taken down, you can see the C curve is really starting to come into place. There's a healthy amount of product on this nail because of the length that I'm actually building it. I need to be able to structure it so I have a really good upper arch all the way through. So it's going to get to a point where it's like, okay, enough electric filing. What do I need to do with my hand file to get this absolutely perfect? So I've gotten a lot of the bulk down, and then what I want to be able to do is make a brand new file. So I do recommend taking the edges of a new file down, and then what I like to do is I'll work around kind of the cuticle area just to make sure that we've blended everything nice and flush. You notice my sides, right? So as I'm coming down here to make sure that we taper everything down, I need to make sure like here, right? Everything is dead straight. Kind of at just a slight angle. I'm going to really focus on bringing this tip as tight as we can. Have a ton of room where the flower is. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to file on that flower because it's so deep. Deep meaning it's thin and I have a ton of product over the surface. My file is coming in at an angle, and then what I want to be able to do, that is a long nail. I'm going to look here and I'm just going to file. So here, let's bring this up. And at this point, that way you guys will be able to see this. I'm going to hold it at this level and then really kind of attack it from this front view with my file, a lot of pressure on the front just to try to even the thickness from side to side and taper. I'm really focusing on tapering it down, right? But you can see how straight my sides are. Look at that. All right. I mean, that thing is mega. I still have a lot of thickness through that front end. So I just need to make sure I'm taking that down. My electric file is going to be able to reduce quite a bit of bulk off the surface, but my hand file at this point is really going to be able to refine it so that I'm going to be able to get those really, really tight edges. Okay, cool. This is almost done. I'm just going to take my 180 kind of buffer, and then I really want to be able to show you how picturesque this is with the new colors. Let's go ahead and this is where the boom, dude, look at that, right? It's just engraved in glass, man. Turn that around. Oh, looks so crazy, huh? See how straight my edges are? Look how straight my edges are. It touches the whole entire side. Even this side right here, if I run my hand file, see how it's like literally touching the whole entire side? That's what we want to be able to create. That way when you're looking at it from that profile or all the way around, you're going to be able to try to get, as straight of edges as you possibly can. Let's do this while you have that view. I'm going to go ahead and take some stain resistant top coat. Now, always what you want to be able to do is use a little bit of protein bond just along maybe just the edges. And then you're going to notice, I don't care if you use stain resistant or use finish, but the level of clarity with this clear powder is glass-like. Boom. See that? That's cool, huh? Let's take a look at this from all angles, except the giant Furby right there on the side. I could probably use a little bit more detailing around around some of the sides, but honestly, for practice and what I'm trying to achieve, and for demonstration purposes, I wanted to be able to show you what you can create with longer forms, man. It is really, really fun. All right, let's see. How do you not get bubbles with the clear coat? You have to work with it a little bit larger quantity and be very light-handed. How do you not get bubbles with clear acrylic? You have to work with it wet. What will be on sale this weekend? Everything. Your words of wisdom. My words of wisdom is, I got a lot, but repetition is the mother of skill. There's my words of wisdom. You have to be able to embrace the suck, because practicing isn't fun sometimes. You're going to get frustrated, and the only way you're going to get better is if you could work through the frustration. There is, again, there is no fast and simple way. There is no shortcut. The only way is you got to put the work in, and hopefully you're in love with the process, and that's what it comes down to. I love the education. It's been a while since it's been. I really appreciate you or your forms. They're not on the website. What towels do you use? Use the Max Textiles they will have here. Do you have black containers for saving gel? No, we don't. We have solid white containers for saving gel. All right, cool. Really appreciate you guys. There's almost 500 people watching at one point, which was pretty awesome. Always a challenge to be able to just kind of freestyle and see what you can do. Obviously, you can see that's a pretty long nail. What's crazy is from the distance, right? You can see, what that looks like. If you guys have clients who are interested in a set like this, that length, that much work, that much detail, dude, that is at least a $200 set of nails if you're going to pump something out that big, minimum. There is no way in hell I would ever do anything unless it was starting at $200. I hope that helps you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate you. If you guys have any questions, hit me up, Salo on Instagram. Sale starts Thursday night, 9 p.m. Pacific time here in Cali, right? So if you guys are confused with the time, Los Angeles time, 9 p.m. Los Angeles time. That's when the sale starts. It's going to be running all the way through Labor Day weekend till Monday night. Appreciate you guys much. Again, thank you. Love you. See you soon. Peace.